Park Do-yun stood outside room 247 of the Seoul Interstellar University dormitory. His hand shook as he held the key card. He had waited 3 months for this moment. The Galactic Exchange Program only accepted 50 humans each year, and he was one of them. This was his chance to learn from beings who had traveled between stars for thousands of years. He had requested a quiet roommate, someone who liked books and silence, someone who would not disturb his studies. The university had promised to match him with a compatible alien student. Do-hyun took a deep breath and opened the door. The room was already different. Strange crystals hung from the ceiling, glowing with soft purple light. The furniture had been moved to the edges, leaving the center completely empty. And standing in that empty space was his new roommate. She looked almost human. Almost. Her skin was pale blue like the sky just before sunset. Her hair was silver and fell past her shoulders like liquid metal. Her eyes were the strangest part. They were violet and seemed to glow from within, like she had stars trapped inside her head. She was also completely naked. Do-hyun screamed and covered his eyes. His bag fell to the floor. He stumbled backward and hit the door frame. The alien tilted her head. She looked at him like a scientist examining a strange insect. "You are Park Do-yun," she said. Her voice was musical, each word perfectly pronounced. "I am Yuna of Valoria. You are my assigned human companion for this academic cycle." "Why are you not wearing clothes?" Do-yun asked. His voice was very high. Yuna looked down at herself, then back at him. "I was changing my garments." "Is this not the appropriate time? My research indicated humans change clothes multiple times per day." "Not in front of other people." "Why not?" Do-yun did not have an answer for this. He kept his eyes firmly shut while he heard rustling sounds. After a long moment, Yuna spoke again. "I have covered myself. You may look now." He opened his eyes slowly. Yuna now wore a simple gray uniform, the standard outfit for exchange students. She was still watching him with those glowing eyes. "I do not understand," she said. "On Valoria, bodies are simply bodies. They carry no special meaning. Why do humans hide them?" It's how we are," Do-yun said weakly. He picked up his bag and moved to the unclaimed bed. "Can we please just not talk about this?" "Very well. I will add this to my notes on human behavior." Do-hyun spent the next hour unpacking his things, while Yuna sat perfectly still on her bed watching him. She did not blink. He was not sure she needed to blink. "Do you need something?" he finally asked. "I am learning," Yuna said. "Humans are fascinating. You move so inefficiently. You touch objects multiple times before placing them. You make sounds with your mouth even when alone." "Those are called sighs. And talking to myself." "Why do you do these things?" "I don't know. We just do." Yuna nodded seriously and made a note on a small, glowing device. Do-hyun had a feeling she would be making many notes this semester. That night, he could not sleep. The crystals on the ceiling glowed too brightly. The room smelled strange, like flowers and electricity. And every time he closed his eyes, he could feel Yuna watching him from across the room. Finally, he drifted off. He woke to find Yuna's face 3 inches from his own. Do-yun screamed for the second time that day. He threw himself backward so hard that he fell off the bed and hit the floor. "Fascinating," Yuna said, leaning over to look at him. "Your heart rate increased by 47%. Your pupils dilated. You produced a vocalization of extreme volume. This is the fear response, yes?" "What were you doing?" Do-yun shouted. "Cataloging your sleep patterns. You breathe very loudly. Also, your face moves during dreams. What were you dreaming about?" "That's private." "Another human concept I do not understand." Yuna sat back on her heels. "On Valoria, we share all information freely. Secrets are inefficient." Do-yun put his face in his hands. It was only the first night. He had an entire year of this ahead of him. The next morning, someone knocked on the door. Do-hyun opened it to find two campus security officers. They were large men with serious faces. "We got a noise complaint," one of them said. "Multiple reports of screaming from this room." "That was me," Do-hyun said quickly. "I'm sorry. My roommate just surprised me." The officers looked past him at Yuna, who stood in the center of the room. One of them put his hand on his weapon. "The Valorian," he said. "We've had reports about her kind. They can be dangerous." Something changed in Do-hyun. He did not think about it. He simply moved, stepping in front of Yuna and blocking her from the officer's view. "She's not dangerous," he said. "She's just different, and she's my roommate. So if you have a problem with her, you have a problem with me." The officers looked at each other. Then they looked back at Do-hyun, this small human student standing between them and an alien who could probably kill them all without effort. "Just keep the noise down," the first officer said finally. They left without another word. Do-hyun closed the door and let out a breath he did not know he was holding. His hands were shaking again. "Why did you do that?" Yuna asked. He turned to find her staring at him with an expression he had not seen before. Her head was tilted, her glowing eyes wide. "Do what?" "You positioned yourself between me and the threat. You are small and weak. You have no natural weapons. They could have hurt you." I don't know," Do-hyun admitted. "I just did it." "But it was not logical." "No, I guess it wasn't." Yuna was quiet for a long moment. Then she raised her glowing device and began making notes again, faster than before. "What are you writing?" Do-hyun asked. "I am recording that humans are more complex than our research indicated," Yuna said. She looked up at him, and for the first time, something like warmth entered her voice. "I believe this assignment will be most educational." Do-hyun groaned and went to get ready for class. He had a feeling that educational was not going to be a good thing. He was right. 2 weeks passed. Do-hyun learned many things about living with a Valorian. He learned that Yuna did not sleep. She entered a state she called restoration, where she sat perfectly still for 3 hours each night with her eyes open. It was deeply unsettling. He learned that she had no sense of personal space. She stood too close when they talked. She touched his arm when she had questions. She once smelled his hair in the middle of class because she was analyzing his chemical composition. He learned that she took everything literally. When he said, "I'm so hungry I could eat a horse," she spent 2 hours researching where to buy horse meat in Seoul. But the strangest thing was the gifts. It started small. Do-hyun woke up one morning to find a bowl of live insects next to his bed. They were large and green and very much alive. "What is this?" he asked, backing away from the bowl. "Breakfast," Yuna said proudly. "These are Valorian tunnel beetles. They are a great delicacy on my world. I had them shipped specially." "Yuna, humans don't eat live bugs." Her face fell. It was the first time he had seen her look disappointed. "I will make note of this," she said quietly, and took the bowl away. The next day she brought him cooked food. It was some kind of purple meat in a strange sauce. It tasted like chicken mixed with strawberries. Do-hyun did not ask what it was. "Is this acceptable?" Yuna asked, watching him eat. "It's actually pretty good." She smiled. It transformed her whole face. Do-hyun felt his heart do something strange in his chest. After that, Yuna brought him breakfast every morning. She was learning human recipes, though she often got them wrong. Her pancakes were blue. Her eggs were somehow square. But she tried so hard that Do-hyun ate everything she made. Then the gifts became stranger. One evening, Yuna presented him with a lock of her silver hair tied with a ribbon. "What's this for?" Do-hyun asked. "It is a gift. On Valoria, we give our hair to those we wish to bond with." "Bond?" "Yes. You are my chosen companion. This is the first step in the bonding ritual. Do-yun felt his face grow hot. Yuna, on Earth, giving someone your hair is, well, it's kind of romantic. Yes, she said simply. That is the intention. He stared at her. She stared back, waiting. I need to go to class, he said, and fled the room. His best friend, Kim Ji-kye, was waiting for him outside the science building. She was a biology student with sharp eyes and an even sharper tongue. She had known Do-hyun since they were children, and she could always tell when something was wrong. You look like you've seen a ghost, she said. Worse. I think my roommate is trying to marry me. Ji-hye laughed so hard she almost fell over. The alien? The one who smelled your hair in quantum physics class? It's not funny. It's extremely funny. She wiped tears from her eyes. What did she do now? Do-hyun told her about the gifts, the food, the hair. Ji-hye's grin grew wider with each detail. She's courting you, Ji-hye said. That's adorable. It's terrifying. Same thing. They walked to the cafeteria together. It was crowded with humans and aliens of all kinds. Do-hyun saw Tae-sung, a Cathari exchange student, sitting alone at a corner table. He was reptilian, with green scales and a long tail. He was also one of Yuna's few friends. Tae-sung, Do-hyun said, sitting across from him. I need your help. It's about Yuna. Tae-sung's yellow eyes blinked slowly. She has begun the bonding protocol, yes? Is that what it's called? She gave me her hair. On Valoria, that is a marriage proposal. Do-hyun put his head on the table. I'm engaged to an alien. Not yet, Tae-sung said. You have not accepted the hair, but you should be aware that Yuna's interest in you is very serious. Valorians do not bond easily. In fact, they rarely bond at all anymore. They consider emotions to be inefficient. Then why is she? That is the interesting question. Tae-sung leaned forward. Humans seem to trigger unusual responses in Valorians. Your species is so emotional, so illogical, it confuses them, and confusion can sometimes become fascination. Great, I'm fascinating because I'm a mess. Essentially, yes. At that moment, Yuna appeared in the cafeteria doorway. She scanned the room until she found Do-hyun, then walked directly toward him. Every alien in the room turned to watch. Do-hyun, she announced in a clear voice that carried across the entire cafeteria. I have completed my analysis. You are genetically superior to all other humans I have observed. Your bone structure is excellent. Your brain chemistry indicates high intelligence. I have selected you as my prime specimen for bonding. The cafeteria went silent. Then someone at a nearby table started clapping. Others joined in. Within seconds, the whole room was cheering and whistling. Do-hyun wanted to disappear. This is good, yes? Yuna asked, looking at the cheering crowd. They approve of our pairing. Please stop talking, Do-hyun whispered. He grabbed Ji-hye and ran from the cafeteria. Behind him, he could hear Yuna asking Tae-sung why he had fled. That afternoon, Do-hyun had a laboratory class in advanced chemistry. He sat at his station trying to focus on the experiment, but his mind kept wandering back to Yuna. She was strange. She was confusing. She had no understanding of normal human behavior. But she also made him breakfast every day. She protected him when upperclassmen tried to bully him. She looked at him like he was the most interesting thing she had ever seen. He did not know what to feel. The accident happened without warning. A student at the next table mixed the wrong chemicals. There was a flash of light and a hissing sound. Then thick yellow gas began pouring from the broken containers. Everyone froze. Do-hyun did not freeze. He moved before his brain caught up with his body. He grabbed the student who had caused the accident. He grabbed another student nearby. He saw Yuna across the room, standing still as her advanced brain calculated the optimal escape route. He grabbed her too. He dragged all three of them toward the door. The gas burned his eyes and his throat. His lungs screamed for air. But he did not stop until they were outside, until they were safe, until they collapsed on the grass and breathed clean air. Yuna stared at him. Her violet eyes were wide. "You saved me," she said. "Of course I did. But the gas could have killed you. You are not built to survive such toxins. Your action was not logical." Do-Yun coughed and smiled weakly. "Humans aren't very logical." Yuna was quiet for a long moment. Then she made another note on her device, but this time her hands were shaking. "I must research this further," she said softly. "Human heroism. I do not understand it." "Maybe some things aren't meant to be understood," Do-Yun said. "Maybe they're just meant to be felt." Yuna looked at him with those glowing eyes, and Do-Yun saw something new in them, something that looked almost like wonder. "Felt," she repeated, like she was tasting the word. "Yes, perhaps you are right." She helped him stand, and they walked back to the dormitory together. She did not let go of his arm the entire way. Do-Yun told himself he did not mind. He was lying. 1 month after the laboratory accident, the university organized a field trip to Jeju Island. The xenobiology students would study the interaction between Earth's ecosystem and alien plant samples. Do-Hyun did not study xenobiology, but Yuna did, and she had requested him as her research partner. He could not say no to her. The trip was 3 days long. Students were assigned to shared cabins near the beach. Do-Hyun found himself in a small wooden building with Yuna, Ji-hye, and Tae-sung. "This will be fun," Ji-hye said with a wicked smile. "Like a vacation." "I do not understand the concept of vacation," Yuna said. "Why would one stop working to do nothing?" "That's exactly why humans need vacations," Ji-hye replied. The first day was busy. They collected samples, took measurements, and recorded data. Yuna was intensely focused on her work. She barely spoke to Do-Hyun except to give him instructions. But at night, everything changed. Do-Hyun was lying in his bed when he felt the mattress dip. He opened his eyes to find Yuna climbing under the blanket with him. "What are you doing?" he whispered sharply. "Sharing warmth," Yuna said. "The temperature has dropped significantly. This is the most efficient way to maintain body heat." "We have heaters." "Those are less efficient." Do-Hyun tried to argue, but Yuna had already closed her eyes and entered her restoration state. He lay there, frozen, with an alien pressed against his side. Her skin was cool and smooth. She smelled like rain and starlight. He did not know how starlight had a smell, but she smelled like it anyway. He did not sleep at all that night. In the morning, Yuna acted like nothing unusual had happened. She made him breakfast using the cabin's small kitchen. She had finally learned to make normal-colored pancakes. "Did you rest well?" she asked. "Not really." "Your heart rate was elevated throughout the night. I assumed you were having pleasant dreams." Do-Yun choked on his pancake. The second night, Yuna came to his bed again, and the third night. Each time, she said it was for warmth efficiency. Each time, she pressed closer to him. On the last morning, she presented him with a small box. "What's this?" Do-Yun asked. "A gift." He opened the box. Inside was a crystal, deep purple and glowing with inner light. It was beautiful. "This is a heartstone," Yuna said. "It is made from minerals found only on Valoria. We give them to those we have imprinted upon." Do-Yun's stomach dropped. "Imprinted?" "Yes, you are my imprint, Do-Hyun, my bonded one. I have chosen you above all others." He stared at her. The words were not making sense in his brain. "Yuna, we've only known each other for 2 months. Time is not important. The imprint is immediate and permanent. I knew when I first saw you that you were significant. This is..." He stood up, backing away from her. "This is too fast. I'm not ready for this." "Ready for what?" "For..." for any of this. The gifts, the sleeping in my bed, the imprinting. On Earth, these things take time. We date. We get to know each other. We don't just decide someone is our soulmate after 2 months. Yuna's face did not change, but something in her eyes flickered. You do not want me? I didn't say that. Then what are you saying? Do-yun did not know. His thoughts were tangled and confused. He cared about Yuna. He did. But this was all happening too fast. She was an alien. They were not even the same species. He did not know if they were compatible. He did not know what their future would look like. I need space, he said finally. I need time to think. Yuna was silent for a long moment. Then she nodded once, sharply. Very well. I will give you the space you require. She walked out of the cabin without another word. The door closed behind her with a soft click. Do-yun told himself this was what he wanted. The trip back to Seoul was quiet. Yuna sat at the front of the bus, far from Do-yun. She did not look at him once. In their dorm room, she rearranged the furniture. She moved her bed to the far corner. She put up a curtain between their sides of the room. For privacy, she said in a flat voice. I understand now that humans require separation. Yuna, I will not disturb you further. She entered her restoration state, facing the wall. The crystals on the ceiling had stopped glowing. Days passed. Yuna was polite, but distant. She no longer made Do-yun breakfast. She no longer brought him gifts. She no longer watched him with those curious, glowing eyes. The room felt empty. Do-yun told himself this was what he wanted. Jihi found him in the library, staring at a book he had not read in 3 hours. You look terrible, she said, sitting across from him. Thanks. What happened with Yuna? He told her everything. The imprinting, his panic, the cold silence that had followed. Jihi listened without interrupting. When he finished, she reached across the table and smacked him on the head. Ow! What was that for? For being an idiot. She glared at him. Do you know how rare imprinting is for Valorians? Taesung said it was uncommon. Uncommon. It's almost extinct. Valorians eliminated emotions from their society centuries ago. They thought love made them weak. They bred it out of themselves. Yuna is the first Valorian in generations to feel this way, and she felt it for you. Do-yun felt sick. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. You were too busy panicking about your own feelings to think about hers. Jihye's voice softened slightly. Look, I get it. This is scary. She's an alien. It's weird. But Do-hyun, she chose you. Out of everyone in the galaxy, she chose you. That means something. What am I supposed to do? Figure out how you actually feel, and then tell her. Do-hyun spent the night thinking. He remembered the first time Yuna smiled at him. He remembered how she protected him from bullies. He remembered the way she looked at him after he saved her from the gas, like he was something precious and impossible. He remembered how empty the room felt without her. The next morning, he went to find Taesung. I made a mistake, Do-hyun said. Yes, Taesung agreed. You did. How do I fix it? Taesung's yellow eyes studied him carefully. First, you must understand what you are fixing. Yuna did not just tell you she liked you. She told you that you are her soul's match. To reject that is to tell her that her feelings are wrong, that she is broken. I didn't mean... I know. But that is what she heard. Taesung leaned forward. There is more you should know. The Valorian government has been monitoring Yuna since her imprinting began. They consider it a defect. They want her to return home for treatment. Treatment? Emotional suppression therapy. They will remove her ability to feel. Do-hyun felt like the ground had disappeared beneath him. They can't do that. They can. And if she believes you do not want her, she may agree to go. She may believe it is her only option. Do-hyun stood up so fast his chair fell over. Where is she? The biology building. But Do-hyun, he was already running. He found Yuna in one of the laboratories preparing samples with mechanical precision. She did not look up when he entered. Yuna, I am busy. I don't care. He walked to her and turned her to face him. Her violet eyes were dull. The glow had faded. Taesung told me about the treatment, he said. Something flickered in her eyes. It does not concern you. Yes, it does. Because I was wrong. I was scared, and I panicked, and I said things I didn't mean. But you are not broken. Yuna, your feelings are not a defect. Then what are they? Do-hyun took a deep breath. They're what makes you more than just another Valorian. They're what makes you real. Yuna stared at him. Her lower lip trembled slightly. You said you needed space, she whispered. I was an idiot. Yes, you were. Do-hyun almost smiled. Almost. I'm not saying I have all the answers, he said. I'm still scared. This is still strange and confusing, and I don't know what our future looks like. But I know I don't want you to leave. And I know the room feels empty without you. And I know that when you smile, something happens in my chest that I can't explain. Yuna was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached up and touched his face. Her fingers were cool against his skin. Humans are very confusing, she said. I know. Your communication is inefficient and your emotions are chaotic. I know. I still want to bond with you. Do-hyun let out a breath he did not know he was holding. Can we take it slow? For the first time in weeks, Yuna smiled. It was small and cautious, but it was real. I suppose I can try to be patient, she said, but you must teach me what slow means. Deal. She took his hand. Her grip was stronger than any human's, but she held him gently. Come, she said. I will make you breakfast. I have learned a new recipe. Is it going to be a normal color this time? Probably not. Do-hyun laughed. It felt like breaking through the surface after being underwater too long. They walked back to the dormitory together. Yuna did not let go of his hand. Neither did he. The ship appeared without warning. Do-hyun was walking to class when the shadow fell over the campus. He looked up and stopped breathing. A Valorian vessel hung in the sky above Seoul, massive and silver, blocking out the sun. Students screamed and ran. Alarms blared across the university. But Do-hyun just stood there, staring at the ship, knowing in his gut what it meant. They had come for Yuna. He ran to the dormitory. Yuna was standing at the window, watching the ship. Her face was pale and still. Yuna? They sent my mother, she said quietly. Commander Seojin. She leads the Valorian diplomatic fleet. What do they want? Yuna did not answer. She did not need to. An hour later, the summons arrived. Yuna was ordered to report to the landing site immediately. She was to bring no belongings. Human companions were not permitted. I have to go, Yuna said. No. Do-hyun grabbed her arm. We'll figure something out. We'll talk to the university, the government. You do not understand. Yuna's voice was gentle but firm. If I do not go willingly, they will withdraw Valoria from the exchange program. Thousands of students will lose their places. Decades of peace building will be destroyed. I don't care about that. I know. That is why I must care enough for both of us. She touched his face one last time, her cool fingers tracing his cheek. Then she turned and walked out of the room. Do-hyun stood there frozen, watching the door close behind her. Then he started moving. He found Ji-hye and Taesung in the common area. They were watching the news on a large screen. Every channel showed the same thing. The Valorian ship, the growing crowd, the human diplomats trying to negotiate. They took her, Do-hyun said. We know, Ji-hye said. Her face was worried. Do-hyun, this is an interstellar incident. There's nothing we can do. Yes, there is. He explained his plan. It was not a good plan. It was desperate and dangerous and probably illegal. Ji-hye told him he was insane. Taesung told him the odds of success were less than 3%. Do-yun did not care. "I'm going," he said, "with or without your help." Jia-hye and Taesung looked at each other. Then Jia-hye sighed. "Fine. But when we all end up in an alien prison, I'm blaming you." The Valorian ship had landed in a secure area outside the city. Human military forces surrounded it, but they were keeping their distance. No one wanted to start an interstellar war. Taesung used his diplomatic credentials to get them past the first checkpoint. Jihye created a distraction at the second, pretending to faint while Do-yun slipped through a side entrance. He was inside the Valorian perimeter. The ship was even larger up close. Its surface was smooth and featureless, like liquid metal that had frozen in place. There were no visible doors or windows. Do-yun walked toward it anyway. "Human," a voice said, "you are not permitted here." Two Valorian guards appeared in front of him. They were tall and muscular, their pale blue skin marked with silver tattoos. They carried weapons that hummed with energy. "I need to see Yuna," Do-hyun said. "The subject is being processed. She will return to Valoria for treatment." "She doesn't need treatment. There's nothing wrong with her." The guards looked at each other with what might have been amusement. "You are the human she imprinted upon," one of them said. "You are the cause of her contamination." "I'm the cause of her feelings. There's a difference." "There is no difference. Emotions are a weakness. They cloud judgment and reduce efficiency. The subject will be cured." Something hot and angry rose in Do-yun's chest. "Her name is Yuna, and you're not taking her anywhere." He tried to push past them. One of the guards grabbed him and threw him to the ground. Do-yun hit the concrete hard enough to see stars. "Restrain the human," the guard said. "He will be detained until the ship departs." They hauled him to his feet. Do-yun struggled, but it was useless. These beings were stronger than anything he could fight. "Stop!" The voice was cold and commanding. The guards immediately released Do-hyun and stepped back. A woman approached from the ship. She looked like an older version of Yuna. The same blue skin, the same silver hair, the same violet eyes, but there was no warmth in her face. She looked at Do-hyun like he was an insect that had crawled into her home. "You are the human," she said. "Commander Seojin," Do-hyun said. He straightened up, ignoring the pain in his ribs. "I need to speak with your daughter. My daughter is being prepared for transport. She has agreed to return to Valoria. Only because she thinks I don't want her." "Do you?" The question caught him off guard. He stared at the commander, at her cold eyes and expressionless face, and he saw something he recognized. She was afraid, not of him. He was no threat. She was afraid of what Yuna represented, a Valorian who could feel, a crack in their perfect logical society. "Yes," Do-hyun said, "I want her." "Why? She is defective. She cannot control her emotions. She will be a burden to you." "She's not defective. She's brave. She's the first Valorian in generations to feel something real, and instead of being proud of her, you want to cut it out of her. Emotions are dangerous. Emotions are what make us alive." Commander Seojin studied him for a long moment. "You are small and fragile. You will die in a few decades. What can you possibly offer my daughter that Valoria cannot?" Do-hyun thought of all the things he could say. He thought of logic and arguments and carefully reasoned points. Then he threw them all away. "I'll die for her," he said. The commander blinked. "What?" "You asked what I can offer. That's my answer. I'll die for her. Not because it's logical, not because it makes sense. Because that's what love is. It's choosing someone even when it's stupid and dangerous and you know it might destroy you." He stepped closer. The guards raised their weapons, but the commander waved them down. "Your people got rid of love because you thought it made you weak," Do-hyun said. "But you were wrong. Love is what makes anything worth doing. It's what makes sacrifice meaningful. It's what makes a life more than just a collection of days. He looked directly into the commander's eyes. Yuna feels that. She's not contaminated. She's not broken. She's the best thing to happen to your species in 1,000 years. And if you take that away from her, you're not protecting her. You're destroying her. The silence stretched between them. The commander's face was unreadable. Then a door opened in the side of the ship. Yuna stepped out. She was wearing formal Valorian robes, silver and flowing. Her face was composed, but when she saw Do-Yun, something cracked. Do-Yun, what are you doing here? What does it look like I'm fighting for you? Against the entire Valorian diplomatic fleet? If I have to. Yuna stared at him. Her eyes were shining. That is extremely illogical, she said. I know. You could have been killed. I know that too. You are the strangest human I have ever encountered. Do-Yun smiled despite everything. That's why you love me. The word hung in the air. Love. He had said it. He could not take it back. Yuna crossed the distance between them. She took his hands in hers, and he felt her tremble. I do, she said. I love you. Then don't go. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. He squeezed her hands. You belong with people who accept you, all of you. And if Valoria can't do that, then maybe Valoria doesn't deserve you. Commander Seojin stepped forward. Daughter, you cannot abandon your people. Yuna turned to face her mother. She stood straight, and there was a strength in her that Do-Yun had never seen before. I am not abandoning them, she said. I am showing them what they have lost, what they could have again if they are brave enough to feel. Mother and daughter stared at each other. Something passed between them, something old and complicated and painful. Then Commander Seojin did something unexpected. She nodded. Very well, she said. You may stay. Do-Hyun felt like his heart might explode. Just like that? Not just like that? The commander's voice was cold, but there was something else beneath it. There will be conditions, reports, monitoring. The Council will not accept this easily. But they will accept it? Yuna asked. I will make them accept it. The commander looked at Do-Hyun with those unreadable eyes. You have given me much to consider, human. Perhaps we have been too quick to dismiss your species. She turned and walked back to the ship. At the entrance, she paused. Take care of my daughter, she said without looking back, or I will return. Then she was gone, and the ship rose into the sky. Do-Hyun and Yuna stood together, watching it disappear into the clouds. I cannot believe that worked, Yuna said. Neither can I. She turned to him. Her eyes were glowing bright again, the way they had the first time he saw her. You came for me, she said. Of course I did. Even though you were scared. Especially because I was scared. He cupped her face in his hands. That's what makes it mean something. Yuna smiled. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. I love you, she said again. I love you too. He kissed her. She tasted like starlight and rain and everything he never knew he wanted. Behind them, Jihye and Tae-sung emerged from their hiding places. Jihye was grinning. Tae-sung was making notes on his device. Finally, Jihye said, now can we please get out of here before someone arrests us? Do-Hyun laughed and took Yuna's hand. They went home together. 6 months later, things were different. Do-Hyun woke to find Yuna in his bed, pressed against his side. This was normal now. He no longer screamed when she appeared without warning. He no longer panicked when she watched him sleep. Well, sometimes he still panicked a little. Good morning, Yuna said. Her violet eyes were open, watching his face. How long have you been staring at me? Only 2 hours. Do-Hyun sighed. We talked about this. You said it was strange. You did not say I had to stop. She had him there. He got up and stretched while Yuna went to the kitchen area. She was making breakfast again. Today it was eggs and toast. The eggs were normal colored. The toast was slightly purple, but that was just because she liked purple. I have completed my monthly report for the Valorian Council, Yuna said, sliding a plate in front of him. They are very interested in human emotional bonding rituals. What did you tell them? I described our activities in detail, the hand-holding, the kissing, the way you make sounds when you are happy. Do-hyun choked on his eggs. What sounds? Small humming sounds, like a motor. I do not make motor sounds. You do. It is endearing. He was not going to win this argument. He never won arguments with Yuna. She was too literal and too confident and too right most of the time. What did the council say? He asked instead. They are confused but intrigued. Several younger Valorians have requested more information. They want to understand why humans value emotional bonds so highly. And what did you tell them? Yuna paused. She set down her fork and looked at him with those glowing eyes. I told them that emotions are not a weakness. They are a strength. They allow us to connect with others in ways that logic cannot explain. They make us willing to sacrifice, to fight, to die for those we love. She reached across the table and took his hand. I told them that the greatest thing I have ever experienced is being loved by a human, and that they should be so lucky. Do-hyun felt his chest tighten. Even after 6 months, she could still do this to him. She could still say things that knocked the air out of his lungs. You're going to make the entire Valorian species fall in love, he said. Perhaps. Would that be a bad thing? No. I think it would be the best thing that ever happened to them. She smiled, and the room felt brighter. They finished breakfast and went to class. The campus was different now. The human-alien exchange program had grown. There were more aliens everywhere, Valorians and Cathari and species Do-hyun did not recognize. The news said applications had increased by 300%. Some people said it was because of better advertising. Others said it was because the program was proving successful. Do-hyun knew the truth. It was because word had spread. Aliens across the galaxy had heard about a human who stood up to the Valorian diplomatic fleet for love. They had heard about a species that would die for each other without hesitation. They were curious. They wanted to see these strange, emotional, illogical beings for themselves. Humanity was messy and chaotic and confusing. That was exactly what made them interesting. Jiya met them outside the science building. She was carrying a tablet, grinning widely. You two need to see this, she said. She showed them the screen. It was a Valorian news site, translated into Korean. The headline read, Underground Human Romance Literature Sweeping Valoria. What? Do-hyun said. It gets better. Ji-hye scrolled down. Apparently, someone on Valoria has been writing romance stories based on Yuna's reports. They're being shared secretly among young Valorians. The council is calling it cultural contamination. Yuna looked embarrassed. I may have been very detailed in my reports. The most popular story is called, Why Won't This Human Stop Crying During Movies? Ji-hye said. It has thousands of readers. Do-hyun did not know whether to laugh or hide. You wrote about me crying during movies? You cried during 7 different films last month. It was notable data. Those were sad movies. The villain's backstory in the superhero film made you cry. The villain. Ji-hye was laughing so hard she could barely breathe. Even Tai-sung, who had appeared behind them, was making a sound that might have been Cathari laughter. This is good, Tai-sung said. The Valorians are learning to feel again, even if it is through fiction. Your bond is changing the galaxy, Do-hyun. Do-hyun looked at Yuna. She was smiling, but there was something serious beneath it. Is that what we're doing? He asked. Changing the galaxy? Perhaps, Yuna said. Or perhaps we are simply living. and the galaxy is changing itself in response. She took his hand. Her grip was firm and familiar. Either way, she said, I am glad I am doing it with you. That evening, they walked along the Han River. The sun was setting, turning the water gold and pink. Other couples walked past them, humans with humans, aliens with aliens, and more often, humans with aliens. I have been thinking, Yuna said. About what? About the future. My assignment ends in 6 months. I will need to decide whether to return to Valoria or request an extension. Do-Yun felt something cold in his stomach. He had been avoiding thinking about this, the end of the exchange, the possibility that Yuna might leave. What do you want to do? He asked carefully. Yuna stopped walking. She turned to face him, the sunset glowing behind her. I want to stay, she said, with you. But I need to know if that is what you want as well. Of course it is. You say that quickly, but I need you to understand what it means. Her eyes were serious. I am not human. I will outlive you by centuries. I do not age as you do. One day you will grow old and die, and I will remain. Do-Yun had thought about this. Late at night, when Yuna was in her restoration state, he had lain awake and thought about what it meant to love someone who would watch him die. I know, he said. And you still want me to stay? Yes. Why? He thought about his answer. He thought about all the logical reasons he could give. And then he threw them away like he always did with Yuna. Because the time I have with you is worth more than a long life without you, he said. Because I would rather have 50 years with you than 500 years alone. Because that's what love is. It's not about how long it lasts. It's about how much it means. Yuna was quiet for a long moment. Her eyes were bright with something that looked like tears, though Valorians did not cry. Humans are remarkable, she said finally. We're okay. No, you are remarkable. She stepped closer, cupping his face in her hands. You are small and fragile, and you will die so quickly. But you love with everything you have. You give yourselves completely. You hold nothing back. She pressed her forehead to his. I have studied dozens of species across the galaxy. None of them love like humans do. It is inefficient and illogical, and it causes you so much pain. But it is also the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. Do-Yun kissed her. He could taste the sunset on her lips. Stay, he said. Yes. Request the extension. I already did. It was approved this morning. He laughed and pulled her closer. You were that confident I would say yes? I calculated the probability based on your previous behavior. It was 97%. What about the other 3%? I decided the risk was acceptable. They stood there as the sun finished setting and the stars came out. Somewhere above them, ships moved between worlds. Somewhere across the galaxy, young Valorians were reading romance stories and discovering emotions they thought their species had abandoned. The galaxy was changing, and it had started with one human and one alien, standing too close in a small dorm room. Yuna, Do-Yun said. Yes? I'm glad you were assigned to be my roommate, she smiled. Even though I watched you sleep. Even though you watched me sleep. Even though I gave you live insects for breakfast? Okay, I'm still not over that one. She laughed. It was a sound like bells and starlight. And Do-Hyun knew he would never get tired of hearing it. They walked home through the city, hand in hand. The lights of Seoul sparkled around them. Humans and aliens passed by, going about their lives, building bridges between worlds one conversation at a time. It was not perfect. There would be challenges ahead. Cultural misunderstandings and political complications, and the simple, painful fact that Do-Hyun would grow old while Yuna stayed young. But they would face it together. Because that was what love was. Not the absence of problems, but the presence of someone who made the problems worth facing. Do-hyun squeezed Yuna's hand. She squeezed back. And somewhere on Valoria, a new romance story began circulating. It was called, "Why Does My Human Say I'm Fine When He Is Clearly Not Fine?" It became the most popular story on the planet. Yuna refused to tell Do-hyun what she had written in the report that inspired it. Some things, she said, were private, even for Valorians, especially for Valorians who had learned to love.